Hello and welcome everyone. Very happy that we're all together again. In this tutorial we will start talking about a fundamental and important topic in the field of the electrical controlling world, which is the electrical switches, as switches is the most basic component in the controlling process of any system, so it's a good entry topic to explain. So fasten your belt and let's get started. The aim of this tutorial is to know what are the different types of the switches used in the different controlling systems. So we need to recognize each type of switch as well and know the idea behind its working operation. So let's go ahead. The first type of electrical switches we have is called the toggle switch, and this is one shape of the toggle switch. And also this is another shape. As you see, it can be a lighting switch like the switch you are using in your home to turn the lighting on or off. And also this is a third shape of the toggle switch. As you see, it's a common switch that you can see in your day commonly. And the idea behind the toggle switch is that it's a type of switches that remains on its final state after releasing your hand when turning it on or off. So this means that when you press on the toggle switch to be on, for example, it will remain at the on state after you release your hand. And the inverse is right, as if the switch at the on state and you press on it to make it at the off state, it will remain at the off state after you release your hand of the switch. So this switch remains on its final state unless you change its state manually. And for that reason, this toggle switch is not used in the controlling industrial applications. So we will not use the toggle switch in the controlling applications or on the PLC controlling systems. Now the second type of switches we have is called the push button switch. And here this is the shape of the push button switch, and also this is its sample in the controlling diagrams. And this push button switch has the inverse idea of the toggle switch, as here the push button switch returns back to its normal condition after releasing your hand. So if you set the push button switch at the on state, it will return back to the off state after you release your hand from the switch. For example, if the switch is at the off state and you press on it to be energized or to make it at the on state, but after you release your hand, it will return back to the off state automatically. And also we say that this is the most commonly used switch in the controlling applications and the PLC controlling circuits. So we rely on this type of switches very commonly in the different controlling applications, hence it's a very important one. But this push button switch has two main types under it. The first one is called the normally open push button, or it has an abbreviation of NO, which stands for normally open. And it looks like this switch here that has this green color. So this green color push button is the first type of push buttons, and this type of push buttons has this sample, so we use this sample at the controlling circuits to refer to the normally open push button. And the idea behind this push button is that it's off at the normal state, so its contacts are not connected to each other at the normal condition. But when you press on it, it turns to the on state. So it transfers from the off state to the on state once you press on it. And when you release your hand from the switch, it turns back to the off state. So it turns automatically to the off state once you release your hand from the switch. And this normally open push button is called the start switch. And this is because it's used to start the controlling circuits, because it turns to the on state when you press on it. Hence it's used to start the circuits, and for that it's called a start switch. Now the second type of push buttons we have is the inverse of this type, which is called the normally closed push button, and of its name it's at the on state at the normal condition, and when you press on it, it turns to the off state. And it has this red shape here, so its color is red by standard. And the working operation of this push button is that it's closed at the normal condition, and when you press on it, it turns to the off state. So it's not energized or it cuts the circuit when you press on it. But when you release your hand after pressing on it, it turns back to its original state or it turns back to the on state. And for that reason it's called the stop switch, and this is because it's used in the circuits to stop the controlling circuit. This is because it turns off when you press on it. More than great. So that's about this tutorial at which we started talking about the different types of switches, and on the next tutorial we will continue this topic. Hope that's it right now. Thank you for watching and see you next tutorials.